Guys finish their career. Some guys look back at, hockey chewed me up and spit me out and gave me,
Lose the
got everything
body.
it could out of me and all that sort of stuff. But like you look at where Stolarz is in his career, 29 years old, never had a major payday, on the verge of being the starting goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If I'm him, I'm like, do the procedure, give me the cortisone, give me the procedure, give me the cortisone. Let's just keep doing it till I can't. I get why guys put themselves through this. He's so close to great things here.
Listen, it can't be underestimated what he's been able to do up until this point. He had himself in the conversation for
Vezina.
MVP.
Yeah.
And we talk about Mitch Marner and his contributions, but both of them have, with the absence of Matthews, their big gun on a torrid scoring pace, they've really carried the freight here and put themselves in conversations to get votes for MVP.
I would really have a hard time picking who's been the least MVP between those two guys. And Marner's been unbelievable, but think about just what good goaltending has done to make this team look look better defensively.
And you do got to feel for Stolarz.
Oh my
right
God,
now. He's done
for him.
everything right, except convince his knee to not give out at this point in time in the season.
Say one dark thing, because I'm a pretty positive guy. It does feel like this is going to be a problem. Not saying this year, but like this in his not even 30 years old yet, it feels like what's going to be eventually for him the reason he has to pack it in. Eventually, could be at 34.
He could still come back and be brilliant and get them to a Stanley Cup final or a final.
But maybe.
Right? Or win a championship, and yet I know I believe he's got another year on his deal, right? So he's covered there. But to your point, I don't think he'll ever be in a position to sign one of those nice goaltending contracts.
Like if he's as good as he comes back and he's awesome this year, they might give him 3 times 5 or what do you it's like, but you're probably not getting 6 times 6.
Be tough to with
people aren't sure.
With his history, it'd be tough.
I guess the one thing you're going for you is if it is an LTIR insurance thing, it's not coming out of your owner's pocket.
No, the insurance is for like the very big contracts, and you only have like 1 or 2.
He could be one though.
No, he would never get.
What are you saying? The other contracts aren't insured, is what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that typically there's just a few that are insured by the clubs because you can't insure all of them. It's too expensive. So that's saved for your $11 and $12 million contracts. So I believe Matthews and Marner and Tavares, they might be insured, but after that, none of them would be insured.
So if a $6 million player gets hurt, the owner just pays it.
Yes.
Doesn't really.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's tough beans.
Yep.
What a curse being a bajillionaire.
Yeah, it's tough.
All right, we mentioned Minton down.
Yeah.
We're okay with that, right?
I think
Camp's coming back.
We had all said that it would be great for Minton to have some run as a top guy on the power play, have the puck, play 20 minutes, play with the best guys. I think it's the best thing for his development, which in turn is the best thing for the Leafs.
All right, let's get Brad Treliving his thoughts on sending down Fraser Minton.
No, I mean, listen, I think it was tremendous. He played tremendous for us, and Craig and I talk all the time, but we like this player a lot. If you saw the last few games, it started to taper a little bit. And then last game when he's not in the lineup, and that's Craig controls the lineup card. We obviously talk about it, but if you're not going to be in, and you're a young player, you got to keep playing, right? We're not going to sit him in the stands, and there's still some things for him. Like to me, I always find with some younger players, he came in, and then you come off it a little bit, right? You realize it's an everyday league, and so nothing but good things about how Fraser's played. I think we saw his brain, we saw all the things that he can do. He'll be back.
Oh, he's going to be a great pro.
I love the expression, it's an everyday league, because you have to be so good that when you're off, you're still effective.
Yeah.
You have to be above the level. Like a lot of these guys can get to the level, but they can't maintain it 82 times, and you have to be above it, so your off days, you still look good.
I did see some Leaf fan push back to him getting sent down. I think there's a lot of people that aren't a huge fan of David Kampf. which is maybe an understatement. Just the fact that plays a pretty boring game out there, fourth line center type of guy, kills penalties type of guy, not going to give you any offense, not a young prospect type guy. But I would say that there are some Leaf fans that have pushed back to this.
I'm not. I don't use this sort of expression often, but like if you don't think David Kampf is good, like you don't know hockey. You're not an effective. You don't watch hockey enough or something. Like he doesn't do the scoring things and the offensive things, but someone. What do you say? You can't bake a cake with the same ingredients.
Yeah.
Some guys got to be the baking powder.
Yeah.
Baking powder and cakes. I don't know.
If the Leafs were
Never baked a cake, my friend.
if this was 2 or 3 years earlier, and I don't know, it's so far back I don't even remember. Were they challenging for a Stanley Cup back then, or were they building towards something? I forget.
2 or 3 years earlier.
I'm just saying
They're
that
in year 7 of cup contention.
that Minton is, if he's on a team that isn't really expected to go all the way, and this is the year that it has to happen, then keep him around.
He's playing for Buffalo. He's playing for Detroit.
He's in the lineup.
He's making those teams.
And he's making mistakes.
Yeah, and they're letting it happen. It's part of the development.
For sure.
And
But that's not the case here. They need guys that can come in and have enough experience so when it gets a little hairy, they can take a deep breath. That's not Minton right now.
This is why these tanking teams that have prospects are way ahead of themselves, because it's good for a guy to have to play up to a certain level to stay in, to be around a team that's trying to win every single day, to see what it's like and how hard it is. I think it's great that the Leafs are good enough that they're saying to him, not right now.
Did we do Berube on Kampf coming back?
We didn't, but I just one quick thing on Minton too. I don't know if this matters, but I'll ask you two. Like, if there was a world where they would consider him in a trade for a third line center type of guy for a cup run or maybe a second round run, regardless of where they're going, would him having that little bit of game tape this year make a difference for did that increase his value this year?
For sure.
I think it just reiterates that he's going to be a good pro.
If you traded for him today, you could use him today.
And it's not a third liner. It's a top 6 forward.
Wow. You know why? Because next year,
Minton.
Fraser Minton is a third line center. Like, he's that close now. So I don't think you trade him for a third line center.
No, you need a guy that could easily be a top 6 forward and can play wing or center.
Is Yanni Gord good enough for you?
No.
What about Mikael Granlund? You guys like him?
I do like Yanni Gord, but if it's Minton, then you're
No, I need
want
a
to shoot
higher. I
Agreed.
need a higher, especially for Minton.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I got to tell you, seeing Matthew Nyes take a step and be a better version of the guy that we in the past had in these sort of deals, it's tough to move on from a guy like Minton who's this close now. Let's listen to the coach.
Okay.
Craig Berube has some comments on him. Clip 2, please.
I thought he was good. I mean, I thought maybe dropped off a bit. It's like he missed up camp, hasn't played a whole lot. And I don't, we don't want him sitting out up here and not playing every game. I don't think that helps his development. I think he's going to be a real good player. We really like him.
And I wish he would live with me and be my son.
They put out like one of those, because they like an Oreo and milk ad thing, and they're like best combinations. Like, what are the best combinations? Some guys were saying peanut butter and jelly or whatever they were saying, and Fraser Minton went snow and Christmas.
Oh,
I was like,
so
is that
earnest.
the sweetest guy ever?
I thought they were going to say Berube and Minton.
Yeah, that too. No, but one guy said peanut butter and pickles, which is weird. I don't know who said it, but there's anyways.
And then you saw that on Instagram?
It was on Twitter, yeah.
On Twitter.
The
I
other
can't watch those things.
I know you have a very
They just are so.
your cringe meter.
They
is,
do nothing. But people want to get to know personalities. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, Kip's just watching MASH clips.
I just want a personality to win.
You just prefer like grunt noises.
Just Tim Allen from Home Improvement. Just,
Yes.
before we go, we do have Berube on getting Kampf back
Yep.
tomorrow, which I think helps them. Let's see if the coach agrees. Clip 4.
Well, that's good, and he's a big body there, and he did a real good job with us killing with would believe it was Marner, because Matthews was out. I thought they were really good together, and gives us more flexibility for sure. But I like his size down the middle, and he moves well, and like I said, he has his job to do, and he's been doing it well.
Likes him.
Yeah, it's still hard for, I think, Leaf fans to put true value on him without, again, seeing the puck cross over the line sometimes. And what, $2.5 million?
Mm-hmm.
He makes decent money for a guy, but I've seen value in the past.
I agree, Kip, that it's like, it's
Can't
more,
win.
and it's too much than I'd love to see him get paid too. People would like him a bit more if he made a little bit less. That's an unfortunate part. It's funny, he does have an 11-goal season with the Leafs.
And then prior to that,
11 goals.
Give me the
He
numbers.
has a 7-goal season, an 8-goal season with them. He has an 8-goal season with the Blackhawks before that. 4, 7, 4. Yeah, I mean, it's like Connor Dewar. It's like you need to do a 30 for 30 on how these guys had 10-goal seasons.
11
But-
goals is crazy.
Yeah.
Was that his first year with the Leafs?
Yes, it was.
I remember it being
all right,
an offensive star that year.
27 points.
we brought
27.
in one of the top doctors, orthopedic surgeons, and Jason Smith, and we've solved nothing.
Just made ourselves anxious.
Loose body.
Sammy, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Boys, I'm fighting it.
Oh, you're
in
doing
your
well.
3-hour one.
I'm fading.
We got one more hour.
Good, you're gonna eat a chocolate. I got some chocolate. for
Hall
you.
of Famer Adam Oates will join us. We'll talk secondary scoring with the Toronto Maple Leafs, as well as what we saw last night against the Stanley Cup champions, against the Edmonton Oilers. That was a fun game. Not sure the coaches were thrilled with it, but we'll get into that with
Fun
Oatesy.
game.
Fun game. Fun game. All right, stick around. Plenty more. We're back after these words.
Leafs facing center crisis amid injuries, eyeing trade market for solutions. As the Toronto Maple Leafs battle through a growing injury list and a suspension, their lack of depth at the center position has become a glaring issue. According to Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman in his latest 32 Thoughts article, the Leafs are among the teams exploring trade options to bolster their lineup. This effort is coming amid increasing competition from teams like the Chicago Blackhawks and Nashville Predators, who have also set their sights on improving their center depth. Friedman didn't mince words about the Leafs' predicament. The teams currently focusing on centers, including Chicago and Nashville, must consider when others will enter the market. Toronto will undoubtedly be one of those teams, he wrote. While the Blackhawks and Predators may have an edge in terms of cap space and assets, the Leafs remain a team to watch as the season progresses. The Leafs situation is urgent, with up to 7 forwards currently unavailable due to injury or suspension. Ryan Reeves is serving a 5-game suspension, while key players like Austin Matthews, upper body, Matthew Knies, upper body, Kaye Jarnkrok, groin/sports hernia, David Kampf, lower body, Max Domi, lower body, and Max Pacioretty, lower body, are all sidelined. The team has even considered temporarily shifting Mitch Marner to the center position, highlighting the severity of their depth issues. This isn't just a short-term concern for the Leafs. Depth at center has been a persistent challenge for the team, and while stopgap solutions like Marner could help in the interim, the front office appears keen to explore longer-term fixes. For fans of the blue and white, this has been a recurring theme. The Leafs' center depth often becomes a problem at the worst possible times. James Myrtle of The Athletic recently added more fuel to the speculation, naming several potential trade targets who could help the Leafs address their issues. Among them is Ryan O'Reilly, a familiar name for Toronto fans. O'Reilly, who signed a 4-year, $18 million deal with Nashville in 2023, might be a trade candidate if the Predators' underwhelming start to the season, 6-11-3, 31st in the league, prompts a rebuild. However, his steep price tag and history with the Leafs, including rejecting a free agency offer less than 2 years ago, make this a complex and potentially unlikely move. Other names mentioned by Myrtle include former Leaf Nazem Kadri, currently with Calgary, as well as players like Michael Granlund, Nick Jugstad, Brock Nelson, Yanni Gourde, Trent Frederick, Radek Faksa, and Sean Corrali. While some of these options seem more plausible than others, it's clear that general manager Brad Treliving will need to get creative to find the right piece without mortgaging the team's future. Cap space remains one of the biggest obstacles for the Leafs. Unlike teams like Chicago and Nashville, which have more flexibility and assets, Toronto is walking a financial tightrope. As Friedman noted, competition will intensify as cap-constrained teams strive to create room. For the Leafs, that could mean waiting for the market to develop further, a risky move given their current needs. The situation also highlights the Leafs' ongoing struggle to build a roster that can withstand the grueling nature of an NHL season. Injuries are an inevitability in hockey, but Toronto's current predicament underscores the importance of depth, a quality the team has struggled to consistently maintain. Looking back on recent years, the Leafs have often leaned heavily on their star players, particularly Matthews, Marner, and William Nylander. While these players have delivered in spades, the lack of reliable depth options has left the team vulnerable in critical moments. The current crisis at center is merely the latest example of this recurring issue. Some fans have called for more aggressive moves from Treliving, arguing that now is the time to strike while the team's core is in its prime. Others, however, are more cautious, pointing to the dangers of overpaying for short-term fixes. Striking the right balance will be key, especially as the Leafs aim to keep their championship window open. Despite the challenges, there's no denying that Toronto has the talent to be a contender, provided they can patch up their lineup. The ongoing rumors and speculation surrounding potential trades show that the Leafs are at least exploring every avenue to strengthen their roster. For fans of the blue and white, this moment feels like a pivotal point in the season. With a lineup ravaged by injuries and a tough schedule ahead, the Leafs must act decisively to avoid falling behind in the standings. The addition of a dependable center could be the difference between weathering the storm or watching another season slip away. Whether it's O'Reilly, Kadri, or another surprise name, one thing is certain: the Leafs are under pressure to deliver. And for a fan base as passionate and loyal as Toronto's, there's no room for excuses. The time to act is now, and Leafs Nation is watching closely. As the trade deadline approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Treliving pull off a move that solidifies the Leafs' status as a contender, or will the search for center depth become yet another chapter in the team's long history of what-ifs? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: it's never boring in Leafs land. As the Maple Leafs navigate this critical juncture, their fan base remains as vocal as ever. Toronto is a city that breathes hockey, and the pressure on Brad Treliving to make the right moves is immense. Every decision he makes, or doesn't make, will be scrutinized, from talk radio to social media, where Leafs Nation is already debating the merits of the various names being floated as potential trade targets. Among the louder debates is whether the team should prioritize a high-profile acquisition like Ryan O'Reilly or Nazem Kadri, or focus on a lower-cost, reliable center who can fill a supporting role without costing too many future assets. While O'Reilly's leadership and playoff experience make him an attractive option, his contract and recent history with the Leafs add layers of complexity to any potential reunion. Similarly, Kadri's gritty, two-way playstyle remains a fan favorite, but his cap hit and availability might render him an unrealistic target. Another factor complicating the Leafs' situation is their tight salary cap. While Chicago and Nashville can make moves with relative ease due to their financial flexibility, Toronto must navigate a labyrinth of constraints to make any trade work. This likely means including salary retention or moving existing contracts to make room, which could drive up the cost of any potential deal. The question then becomes, how much are the Leafs willing to sacrifice to address their immediate needs? One potential trade partner generating buzz is the Seattle Kraken. Yanni Gourde, a dependable two-way center, has been mentioned as a possible target. Gourde's versatility and championship pedigree from his time with Tampa Bay make him an appealing option. Seattle, however, is in playoff contention and may not be inclined to part with a key piece unless the Leafs can provide a substantial return. Another intriguing name is Brock Nelson of the New York Islanders. Nelson is a consistent scorer and reliable faceoffman, qualities that would undoubtedly bolster Toronto's center depth. However, the Islanders are notoriously cautious when it comes to trades, and prying Nelson away would likely require a significant package, including picks or prospects that the Leafs may be hesitant to part with. For all the trade talk, some analysts believe the solution might come from within. Sheldon Keefe has shown a willingness to experiment with his lineup, and players like Pontus Holmberg or Fraser Minton could be given an opportunity to step up. While relying on less experienced players carries risks, it might be the Leafs' only option if the trade market proves too costly or slow to develop. Adding to the Leafs' urgency is the timing. The Atlantic Division remains one of the toughest in the league, with teams like Boston, Florida, and Tampa Bay continuing to dominate. Any prolonged slump could see Toronto slip further down the standings, putting their playoff hopes in jeopardy. For a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, failing to address their weaknesses could have catastrophic consequences. Brad Treliving's history as a general manager suggests he's not afraid to make bold moves. His time with the Calgary Flames was marked by blockbuster trades, including the acquisition of Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar in the Matthew Tkachuk deal. Leafs fans hope he brings that same decisiveness to Toronto, especially as the trade deadline looms. Beyond the immediate need for a center, this situation underscores a broader issue with the Leafs roster construction. Depth has been a perennial concern, And while Toronto boasts some of the league's top-end talent, their reliance on a handful of stars has left them vulnerable in moments like this. Moving forward, addressing this imbalance must be a priority for the front office if the team is to achieve sustained success. As the Leafs head into a critical stretch of the season, the next few weeks could define their trajectory.